to do because you cannot help. So what do? You close down the system of empathy. And later you have to go and learn it again through meditation, through therapy, through whatever. Every therapy at the end of the day is nothing else to open the heart again. Not to know why your mother did that, why your father did that. That doesn't bring anything. It's opening your heart again. Why started your heart to be closed? Simply because you couldn't bear the pain. But your father, your mother couldn't bear the pain either. So they put it on you. Of course your mother will say she was overloaded, which simply means she was unhappy. You all know it. When you are really happy, do you have a problem with energy? When you don't feel happy, you start to be tired, you think everything is too much, your brain starts to get crazy, thinking all the time. When you're happy, that doesn't happen. Because happiness and empathy cannot be separated. So what I learned very fast is, looking at these people, their reaction has nothing to do with me. Not to take it personally. It is when you take things personally that you create distance. It is when you take things personally, in the worst case, in psychiatric terms, you become paranoid. It is when you take things personally that you have to rely on your knowledge. Feelings have nothing really to do with the personal level. And the personal level and knowledge means you try to find out, you try to understand. But in my version, enlightenment is the ending of wanting to understand. What should I do as a small kid, 3-4 years old, understand? To understand what? With my brain? Why someone was dealing like that? No, I had to go from what all of us do from the beginning. What is the first level you are getting at with empathy and compassion? It's feelings. Thinking comes afterwards. Thinking is the process of describing feelings. That's for what thinking, in fact, is there. So you are there, you are watching. You see the misery of the person, you realize it has nothing to do with you. And you are free. You have to try it once out. Whatever comes towards you, if you don't take it personally, you are free. And it's so simple. It's a very simple step away from this constant taking. This person doesn't like me, this person is against me, this person is this and that. What does it do when you take it personally, energy-wise? You immediately have to start to build a defense. Defense means you're starting to holding back. Like as a child, you see your mother suffering. That's why she behaves towards you like that. You don't know what to do with this. You feel helpless. In psychology term, unsecure. And you take yourself back, not to feel anymore. The same, every day when you take something personal, you immediately have to take yourself back, which means more on the body-mind level, therefore less out of the body consciousness, less awareness, less observation. You become defensive. Is it really important if you are a Buddhist or a Muslim or a Christian? It starts already there. Is it really important if there are 7 chakras or, as I say, 8 chakras? Is it really a problem if someone says, hey, I don't really like you? Have you ever thought that the process of rejection is freedom? Imagine you could see every day that rejection is freedom. You could not be hurt because rejection is freedom. Imagine you would have to say to everybody yes to what they are saying. For ourselves, we want to have the right to say yes, but for the others, we don't want. I don't want everybody to love, which is naturally, but everybody should love me. And you see, that's the next step I realized. I saw the misery. I stopped to take it personally. I was therefore not anymore so strong on the body-mind level, and I realized, independent what went on, you are a source, an endless power of love. Love cannot be destroyed. One of the big problem of psychology. You only, says psychology, can give as much love if you have got, as you have got. If that would be like that, love would not be worth anything. The problem is not there. The problem is, do you wait until you are loved, or are you ready to love even if you don't know if you will get back something? And when you stop to take it personally, when you realize that absolutely no reaction, pure observation, no personalization, Buddha called it, no identification with whatever is there, because between identification and the idea of an I is no difference. How do you know if when someone likes you or doesn't like you, if that has something to do with you? It's a question of taste. Do you hate the people you don't love? No, you just don't have in the law of attraction, or because it doesn't fit. But you don't hate them. You just, in your culture, in your structure, are moving forward, and with some people more, with some people less. But the moment someone says, well, why should I buy your book? We get mad. The big difference between me and some other people in that age when I was in the home was, I had no choice. I couldn't say, okay, now I'm a little pissed off that the nurse doesn't like me. There was no way of dealing with it. The only thing I knew, as more I was loving the person, not doing love, as more I saw what was her misery, that therefore her action came out of that, as more I was safe. How can someone who is aggressive towards you, if you really see, seeing means feels, that it has nothing to do with you, how can you be hurt? And we are talking here about the psychological state. We are not talking here about if someone comes and kills you. We are not talking here about if you walk in the street and someone comes with a knife. Nowadays, if someone comes with a knife, I will run. In the home, I couldn't even run. I was chained. We are talking here about the feeling level, that which is in common between us. No one of us in between us, we immediately have the sense or the danger can happen, but normally not that someone really wants to kill us or hurt us terribly. It's just this psychological input of I have to defend myself, which means I want to be right and you are wrong, or give in, which creates the whole misery, the whole conflict. So very fast I realized, hey, all these people working there were in fact unhappy. But in that time they didn't have so much money. Nowadays people deal a little different when they are unhappy. Have you ever walked consciously down Regent Street? 99% of all shops are useless. They are just there to create a compensation for happiness. You feel in misery, let's go and buy something, and for 2 hours you feel good. Not longer. Most of consuming is built on, at least let's calm them down a little. Genius, but it is not going to change anything. So then I realized, when I was ready not to take it personal, and of course again in my case there was not a question of being ready, I had no choice. I could get mad or I could start to see. When I started to see and not react to it, to have this empathy, not because you have to do it, it's there anyway. Everybody of us has this level of empathy. I realized that certainly the people, the women, the men who were working there were still aggressive. It still hurted on the body level, but it could not hurt your inner center. And you see, this is the most important part. It is not love which is at the first step. This is a huge misunderstanding. In Buddhism, if you read the sutras, if you read talks of Buddha very carefully, you will always find not first love. First is inner peace. The translation in my words to inner peace is stillness. Love comes out of stillness. You cannot try to love. That's what these nurses did. You know, when I in Germany came out my biography. So for the biography I had to go and make research. So we found one of these nurses who was then working there, 82 years old, and we went to see her. First, of course, she was horrified because she thought maybe I will be angry against her. Like my mother, when I found her, she was horrified how I would deal, and I would say, the first thing I said to my mother, don't worry, don't have guilt feelings, I'm grateful to you, because would I be there where I am if I would have grown up with you? The same I said to the nurse, don't worry, don't worry. You have shown me certain things. I'm not here to ask you, why did you do that? I'm here to ask you, was it like that? Because the mind can play a lot of tricks. Memory is a very tricky thing. So I wanted to find out, was it really like that? And she said, you know, the crazy thing was, in all this madness, all the nurses loved you. And that has happened the rest of my life. In school, for example, I was an absolute disaster. My first teacher wrote, he has beautiful eyes, but he is stupid. When I came out of the home, they made a psychiatric test. I had an intelligent quotient, you know, the intelligent EQ of 68. That's very low. Do I look like an EQ of 68? Maybe yes. But you know what? I don't mind, because the brain is not the important thing. The shining is not your knowledge, the shining is your heart. So I asked her, so how did you perceive in your sadistic behavior? And she said, you were for all the kids like a guardian angel. You were so kind. But you see, the kindness, the lovingness came not out of me being aware that I'm lovingful. It came out of that inside absolute stillness. It came out of this structure of realization that people behave towards you in a specific way, never because of you, but always because of their misery. And in that observation, in my realization, seeing that whatever and however someone behaves towards you, even a sadistic nurse, your love, your ability to suffer for them cannot be destroyed. And that's all what you have. Why do you think you can suffer unhappiness? With 6 years, but I couldn't put it in names, but with 6 years I had grasped the principle of that. How can I suffer? How can I become depressive? How can I feel sad if I wouldn't know what love is? It is because I deep inside, and the word inside is of course wrong, around me, you around you, this energy around you, which is more than body-mind, is nothing else than stillness and love. So when that is cut down, let's put it in words, in symbols, when the heart is cut down, which should be in a free floating towards the outside, of course, because you know deep inside that that should be open, that there should be this radiance, you suffer. You cannot feel sad or suffer if you don't know love. You may not know how to open that love, therefore you get a problem. But you know what love is, and as near you are to it, as near you are also in connection with suffering. Now, in realizing that, I realized, of course, to come back to the being disconnected, dissociation, but also in rejected, that even if someone rejects you, it can reject your thoughts, it can reject your body, it can reject your behavior, body-wise, it can reject your belief system, Buddhist against Muslim, Christian, Swiss against English, against French, whatever you want to take, but they cannot reject your energy of love. It is not possible. So then I realized through that, it's not a question of trying to love and saying, oh, they are bad people, but I try to love. That would be a form of sadomasochism. It's simply no choice. Once you see that it has nothing to do with you, that your real essence cannot be destroyed, it's just there. It's not something you have to do. Don't believe all this business you have to develop, you have to breathing exercise, you have to open your chakras, you have to do this and that, and all these ideas that if you then have once reached, you will get enlightened. You get the day enlightened where you see that your essence is nothing else than love, independent from what happens to you, because no one can reject love. They only can reject your body-mind. Who cares about the body-mind? Let's suppose you live 80 years. 80 years. That's nothing. 80 years. And you want to struggle with each other in 80 years, who is right and who is wrong. So what happened is, all these women, these people working there, as much they were behaving that stillness in me, which out of it flow love, had nothing to do with rejected or not rejected, nothing if you were loved or not loved, nothing if they agreed or not agreed. Stillness is the absence of all that. And you all know this stillness. Every night when you go to bed, you move just for a second into that stillness. It's when you fall asleep. You cannot avoid it. If you try to watch how you fall asleep, or to say, I need to do something to fall asleep, very likely you will not fall asleep. What you have to do